Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Night Live over here at Johnny Lipson Studios in Gorebridge, in Midlothian, in Scotland, in the capital of the universe. I hope everybody is doing well. We're doing pretty good here. It's been a lovely warm day here today, and yeah, it's been really nice. Had a nice family day out, and arrived back maybe about an hour or so ago, so late, and late getting the kids to bed and all of that business, but we're good. Hang on just a second. I'm trying to multitask, and I'm not very good at multitasking, so I need to work on that. But welcome. We got 21 and 10, so that's 21 people here and 10 likes. So if you are here and you're watching the show and you like what you see and you like what I do week in, week out, then please do hit the like button. If you have not subscribed to the channel before, then please do hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get the notifications for any of my content. That includes this show and any posts that I put up in the community area, and also any videos that I do. Admittedly, I've not been doing a whole lot of videos recently, mostly because, kind of COVID restrictions have meant I've had to have my kids home for quite a lot of the last academic year, and then of course they're at home for summer holiday. So yeah, getting videos made has been almost impossible. However, that all said, I am going to start making some new tutorial videos. They are going to be going up on the channel weekly, so you will not only get the live stream, but you'll get a weekly video as well. So I intend to increase the amount of output back to somewhere like normal after a long protracted period of not being able to do a whole lot. I'm glad to be feeling like I'm getting back more into where I was with the channel before COVID-19 unfolded onto the world. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at, really. I have a whole list of videos planned, and on that subject, if you have a particular subject that you would like me to cover, or a particular thing that you would like me to talk about in a video and demonstrate in Studio One, then please do email me at johnny@johnnylipsonstudios.co.uk, and just tell me what you would like me to make a video on, and I will happily do it. It can be on any Studio One technique. We can do something on songwriting if you want, or a particular mixing technique. It's kind of up to you what kind of content you would like me to create. If it's going to help you, then I'll make it. Pretty much, within reason. So yes, there's all of that going on. Plus, we are mostly moved into the new house now. I say mostly. There's still quite a lot to do. But the studio is all set up. At the back here, you might now see that I have... It looks like a kettle. It kind of is a kettle, except it boils water from cold to 100 degrees Celsius in about 3 seconds flat. So I've got that now. And down here, you can't really see it very clearly, but down here I've got a mini fridge, which has got some milk in it. So I can stay up here and never go down into the rest of the house. So I can totally shut my door and make cups of tea and be working away all day. So those are kind of new additions to the studio. So yeah, so new videos are coming. But we're also going to have to say goodbye to a couple of things too. One of those things that we're saying goodbye to is my website. I've been kind of telling you about this for maybe the last week or so, the last couple of weeks, maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks. I've been reminding you that we're saying goodbye to my website as it currently is. That's not to say that the website is going away forever. It isn't. I'm just going to redesign it and redevelop it on a different platform than what I've been using. So the 2 courses that are in the store, if you have never been to my website, go take a look. And in the store, there are a couple of courses there There's a songwriting one, and there's a music theory course. If you've never checked those out, please go check them out. And by all means, purchase them, because they will be going bye-bye at the end of this week. They will cease to exist, and you'll not be able to buy them. So if you do buy them, download all the content. If you have already purchased the courses and you've been kind of working your way through them, direct in the website, please just download the videos and all the other content that goes with them. Just download it all, get it onto your computer. That way you'll have them forever. And even if I take them down from the website, you will still have them. So please go and do that. Do that this week, because they are all going to go bye-bye. No more courses on this particular brand of the website. So I'm building a new website, and I'm hoping it will go live maybe the end of next week, hopefully. And that being the case, it kind of depends upon how much time I can dedicate to it over the next few days. And then hopefully by the end of it, hopefully on Sunday next week, we'll be able to do a launch of the new website, and you'll be able to check it out. It's going to be a little bit different than what we have had over the last couple of years, but it should be just as good. That's what I'm hoping for. Maybe a little bit simpler in some respects, but hopefully just as good. So there we go. That's kind of the news that I wanted to get out to you guys. Website is going bye-bye. JohnnyLipsonStudios.co.uk is going to continue to exist. I'm just building on a new platform. And like I said, some new videos coming. And I'm intending to put them out one video per week. So you'll have something to get your teeth into in between shows, which is kind of what I've been wanting to do for a while. So there we go. I hope that that brings everybody up to date with what I'm doing. Yeah, so kind of life has kind of changed a wee bit, and being in this house has kind of changed everything as well. So the way I do things has had to change a bit. And also the fact that I'm working full-time at Presonus as well as doing Johnny Lipson Studios full-time as well. I'm having to kind of rejig things and juggle things about a bit. So anyway, with that in mind, let's get to your questions. If you have any, I'm going to scroll up to the top and see who's first in the door. The first person in the door was John Lake, who says, "I'm not here. You saw nothing." I saw this earlier, so I replied to him and said, "You are not the droid we are looking for. We'll move along." Next in the door is Billy Morgan, and Marcos Gomez is here as well. Tony Stringer, Tony G, Music to Motion, my good friend Michael is here. Let's see, Robarth, Melted Cheese Home Studio is here. He says, almost 1 a.m. in the Netherlands, pinching myself to stay awake. Hello, Presonian, fellow Presonians. Awesome. I am always immensely happy to have Europeans watching the show, because I am well aware that it's, you know, it's a 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. kind of show for you guys in Europe. So I really appreciate the fact that you're here. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it. Kevin is here from Kevin Guitar Stories. And of course, Starlight G recording is here as well. And he's talking about Johnny Garv's channel on Fridays when he does, you know, submit your song on Fridays, which is cool. It's a cool little feature that he has to his shows now. Very enjoyable. Let's see. Kyle Jadruziak is here. I've already talked about Billy. Dwayne is here. And let's see who else is here. You guys have been chatting away. Thomas over in the Philippines is here. This is quite the international crowd now. It's amazing. I love it. Tony says, I got my OBS to run with Zoom today. Awesome. Congratulations. Yes. Streaming and setting up with OBS can be a little bit of a fiddle, but once you've got it set up, the cool thing about OBS is it remembers all of your settings, and you can pretty much just set it and forget it, which is, actually, tell the truth, what I do. It's dead easy. I have my scenes set up, so, you know, I've got this one here with the kind of mixer in the background, and then the square box, and then the website down below, and my branding above me. It's a little bit basic and a little bit simple, but I'm a basic and simple kind of guy, apart from when I'm playing the piano where things get complicated. But you can make this kind of a screen as complicated as you want. I know Dave Vignola has like a whole load of things on, on his side over here. He has a whole bunch of links and interesting stuff on his screen. I don't have any of that. And Johnny has all sorts of flashing logos and things on his. I don't have any of that because A, I don't know how to do that, and B, I'm not really sure I want those kind of distractions on my page, on my screen. But anyway, and then, I've got my intro, my start screens, and then I've got my Studio One screen over here. And then when I end the show, I've got this one, which is really simple. Just kind of follow me on Twitter, find me on Facebook. Please like and subscribe. Website and branding. You can keep it really, really easy. But I also have this one as well, which is, you may have seen me do this on my Studio One 5.1 and 5.2 videos, where I started off with an intro that has this full screen view of me with no borders. This one works quite well, but really, I like this one. I like this one best. So that's cool. Who else is here? I'm just scrolling down. Sean Aaron is here. He says hi all. Sean, good to see you. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. There's too many of me on OBS. I'm just turning that over. Just Bob is here as well. Just Bob is awesome. He is one of my faithful little, my little squad of moderators. He is a key member of that, which is cool. He says, hello, my fellow Lipsters. Lipsters. Kind of like that. That's cool. I kind of like that. Let's see. What else do we have here? And we've got some questions, so I'm going to get to those just now, actually. I think I've got everybody. I think. Lowenz is here as well. Alan, who is Photography Like Magic, is here. Martin Weeks is here as well. Cool. Who else do we have? I think we got Mika here as well. I think I saw Mika. Yes, there's Mika. Hello, Mika. And Roy Nicolason is here. Roy, I think you're... yeah, Roy, I think you're new to my channel and you're new to this show. Welcome. Glad you're here. Welcome. I hope you find this show useful and helpful to you if you're just checking this out for the first time. So thank you. Right, let's get up to where I saw some questions. Because I think Robath has had the first question, really. He says, dithering, can you explain this and how does Studio One handle it? Good question. Dithering, I don't really know a whole lot about dithering. To be really honest, the guy that probably knows the most about dithering in on the show is Mika Han, to be honest. However, Studio One pretty much does it automatically. And usually, from my understanding of dithering, it's all to do with kind of when you're either dithering down from one sample rate to another, or you're going up to another sample rate. From, maybe you recorded in 44.1 and mixed in 44.1, and then you are going up to 96, like you're exporting to 96. Studio One kind of does that automatically. It dithers automatically, but you can dither down as well. So, if you're doing most of the recording in 96, but you want to mix at 48, and then the final product is going to be in 48, then again, Studio One kind of does that dithering for you, which is pretty cool. And there's an option to be able to turn that on or off. I just have to go and try and remember where that is. Advanced audio, is it? Yes, I can show you this. Okay, so if you go to Studio One options or Studio One preferences, if you're on a Mac, then you go to advanced, and then in the audio tab here, you've got a whole bunch of options here. One of which is use dithering for playback and audio file export. And you can have this checked or unchecked. I leave it checked, so it's not something I really have to think about. Use real-time processing to update mastering files. That can be really useful if you're using something like Pipeline, or some other process whereby you're running your audio through external hardware and then back into Studio One. You will need this option if you're doing that, and then you're wanting to update the mastering file, or you are sending the song to the project page and you need that external gear processed first, then it will do that in real time. Pre-record audio input. I've got this set to 30 seconds and I've got this option checked. And then there's this record offset, which is handy if you have some kind of jitter going on, or some kind of delay between sending and receiving between different devices. This can be useful to offset that. My good friend and colleague Gregor has a great video on how you set the recording offset up so that you make sure you have the correct number of samples for that. Enable play overlaps for new audio tracks. This is a new feature for Studio One 5. I have to admit, I don't ever use this, so I don't have it checked. But there you go. So dithering is pretty much automatic, but you can have this checked, this unchecked, so that you can set it yourself if you really want to. But I leave it unchecked. So I hope that answers that question. Let's see. Marcos says, music is subjective. We mix differently as mastering too. Your mix is perfect, not annoying and pro. Bad things are asked to be done. You do or bypass. I'm not really sure I understand your question there, Marcos, and it could possibly be a language thing, but I'm not quite sure I'm understanding your question. Bad things are asked to be done. Do I do it or do I bypass? See, here's the thing. It's complicated. It really is complicated, because at the end of the day, I am working as a mixing engineer or as a mastering engineer. I'm working for somebody else. They are paying me to do a job for them. And, if in their revisions that they request me to make, they say, we want this cut, and it may well be that there's an instrument in there that maybe I have played, and they want me to cut that, or they want me to turn the guitars up really loud to the point where they're overwhelming the vocal because, hey, they're guitar players and they just like loud guitars. I have actually been asked to do that, by the way. Keep turning up the guitars, keep turning up the guitars. Now, I have options here. I can either keep turning up the guitars until the mix is no longer in balance and send them that. Problem with that is the end result can make me sound bad as a mix engineer, and the artist may well be happy, or the producer may well be happy with the result, and I will have to explain to them that I personally think that this mix is now out of balance, and I would not necessarily feel comfortable with that kind of amount of out of balance going on. I'm not sure I want to sign off on it, because my professional reputation as a mixing engineer is at stake, because I'm going to go on the credits of their record as the mixing engineer, and if somebody listens to that mix and go, oh my gosh, this is awful, those guitars are way too loud, then people that listen to that are less likely to come in and work with me, because they'll think I'm bad. So, there is that kind of a dilemma going on. On the one hand, I have an artist that is going to pay me for the work that I'm doing. And on the other hand, the revisions that they are asking me to make could compromise my professional integrity and make me appear to be a bad engineer. So, there are ways around that. One of those ways is you need to very delicately and very diplomatically explain to the artist or the producer, whichever it is, who is making these requests, and say, I think if I do what you're asking me to do, it's going to affect the song in a bad way. and it's not going to sound good. And so what I would do is I might make 2 separate mixes. One that demonstrates what I think is the problem, or what I think will be the resultant problem if I do what they asked me to do. And then I will send what I think is the solution that will get them louder guitars but keep everything in balance. And then I will say, okay, it's now up to you to kind of choose between the two. But I would then follow that up by making a convincing and yet diplomatic argument as to why, louder guitars but everything's still in balance is the best option. That is a tricky one, and that is a really good question because it is tricky. But, I rarely actually completely say no to a client. If they ask me to make certain changes and certain revisions, it is very rare that I actually say, no, I'm not going to do that. Because, you just use a bit of diplomacy, and you use a little bit of tact, and you need to think a bit creatively about how can I give them what they want without compromising this song, without making this song bad, or without making my mix of this song bad. So, you have to think a little bit creatively rather than just going, no, I'm not going to do that. And then, as I say, explaining your rationale and making it clear. And, if necessary, make a video. I do that for clients all the time. If they send me a set of revisions and I think, okay, I can see where they're going with that, but I don't think it's going to help the song, then I will make a video and I will show them what they're asking me to do versus what I think is better. And then kind of leave the choice in their hands. But I will explain why doing it this way gives them what they want but is better. So make a video of it, send that to the client, do whatever you can to kind of win them round to your way of thinking, because at the end of the day, they have paid me as the mix engineer to provide my expertise and my service that, they obviously don't have any expertise in. They're not a mix engineer, they are a singer-songwriter. And they don't know the inner workings of an EQ or a compressor or anything like that. They don't know how to balance faders. They don't know any of those kind of things. All they know is what sounds good, and what they envisage in their head as the finished article. So, little bits of compromise here and there can make things work. So, yeah, I don't ever kind of bypass or do my own thing, because at the end of the day, it's the client's song. And if they don't like what I've done, then they can dump me from a high height. They can just drop me and say, you're fired as our mix engineer. Does that happen? Yeah, it does. Sometimes it's the right thing. Sometimes I'm actually going, you know what? I'm glad they fired me. Because it was never really going to work out with this client anyway. We maybe weren't a good fit for each other in the first place, and I was maybe mistaken to take them on in the first place. So, it does happen, just not very often. Let's see. That was a good question, though. Very delicate. Michael says, got my first Pfizer shot about 30 minutes ago. Awesome. I hope you are doing well with it, and I'm glad you have it. I have now had both coronavirus vaccines, so I'm fully vaccinated now. And I had the AstraZeneca for both. And feel absolutely fine. No side effects whatsoever. I know people that have had some pretty awful side effects. They were in bed for a week, feeling horrendous. I didn't have that experience. I was like, I went and had my shot in the morning, back to work. And felt fine the next day. I thought the next day I might feel pretty rough, but I didn't really. But, yeah. Let's see. Mika says, did you get your high temperature issues settled? Yeah, not really. It is still pretty hot in here. I do now have a blackout temporary blind, which is behind the camera. You can't really see it. And that keeps the sun from shining through the window into this room. But the room is actually still quite hot. And the gear does get a little bit warmer than I would like, but I have checked with the product managers, because all my stuff is Presonus, so they're my colleagues. So I just emailed the product managers for all of the gear that I have and said, hey, are these temperatures okay? And pretty much all of them said, yeah, they'll tolerate actually a more, a higher temperature than that. So it's just me that is, breaking into a sweat every now and then, especially in the afternoons. In the mornings, it's fine because the sun is shining through the front of the house. I'm at the back of the house, so it's nice and cool in here in the morning. And then in the afternoon, it's nice and cool in there, but nice and hot in here. But at this time of night, it's actually cooling down a bit. So, but yeah, good question. Martin Weeks with a political question, which I'm not going to answer because I can't really, because this ain't really a political show. But it's a good question. Any chance maybe UK and EU will make friends again and the Brexit stuff will go away? Well, who knows? Hopefully. Just Bob says, with the new website, are you going to offer one-on-one training at all? I actually have always offered one-on-one training. It's always been there. On the new website, I can show you where that is. Just bear with me just a minute. Oh, hang on. I closed it. But I can show you where that is on the new site. Well, it's not new anymore, but yeah, I can show you where that is just now. If you go to services, and scroll down to the bottom, you'll see down here, custom Skype tutorial. Need some extra training to improve your music production skills? Email me with your requirements and we can arrange a Skype call to address your questions. £35 an hour. I think that's about $50 US. I think that's about right. But yeah, that's how much I charge. So if you're interested in that, then we can do that. But as I say, this website is going to go bye-bye soon. But yes, I have always offered one-to-one training. I have a small number of students that have taken me up on that. So it would be nice to maybe have one or two more. Would be nice. Let's see. Are there any other questions? 1 second. All right, Martin has a question. Since I now have universal control, is it possible using that to do loopback without a second interface or a specialty mic? Can't afford any more hardware. Now, here's the thing, Martin. Loopback and loopback support and loopback capability depends upon the device that you have. It's not just universal control. You have to have a device that will do it. So any of the new black Studio USB-C interfaces will do it. So the Studio 24, Studio 68, the Studio 1810, the Studio 1824, they all have loopback capability built into them. And so in universal control, you have the option to select a virtual mix option. But not every interface supports it. So that's more the issue. It's the actual device. Universal control will work with loopback, providing the interface supports it. If it actually supports it, then universal control will grant you that as the option. If it doesn't, then you're out of luck. You won't be able to do loopback. If so, can we have a quick walkthrough? I think I kind of did that last week. I think I talked about my my loopback setup last week, but maybe I didn't go over the universal control part of it. I can do that. Let me just close that. So, hang on. Alright, so in Universal Control, here is the Studio 1824C, and we have the loopback option here, and I can select virtual or mix 1 and 2. I have this set to virtual because I want to take basically inputs 1 and 2 back in to I want to take the outputs of the interface virtually back in as a set of inputs in the interface. Sorry, I'm getting my words lost here. So this is why I have it set to virtual, because I need a set of virtual inputs, so that it's effectively like taking a pair of cables from your outputs of your interface and plugging them into a set of inputs on the front of your interface. This is effectively what you're doing. It's just you're doing it virtually rather than with physical cables, but it's essentially the same thing. And that's what I do with having this set to virtual. Once this is set to virtual, that means the outputs of the interface, which includes Studio One and any kind of Windows sounds or anything like that. So if I wanted to show a YouTube video to you guys, I can do that because the output will of YouTube goes through the interface anyway. So all of that goes through this virtual input, okay, via loopback. So once I've got that set, then that goes into OBS, which I think I've already shown you, but I'm happy to show you again. And I have the audio devices set here. So I have mic line 1 and 2, which is for me and the keyboard. And then I also have virtual 1 and 2, which is my outputs, my virtual output going into the virtual inputs on the interface, and then they go into here, and that means that Studio One's audio goes into OBS. And then the cool thing is I can remember how to do this. Not that. So what that means is I have this advanced audio properties section of OBS, and what that means is I have a section for desktop audio, for main audio, which is kind of like YouTube and everything else, and Studio One. So Studio One comes through here, YouTube comes through here, Windows audio sounds come through here, and I have it set to the middle, and then I have my mic, and that has a volume increase of 11.5 dB. And I have this one set to mono, and the reason being is if I turn this off, if I uncheck that, my voice will come out of the left channel and the keyboard will come out of the right channel as you're listening to me right now. But at the moment I have them down mixed to mono, which is what this little option here is. And then you've got some sync offsets so that you can make sure that picture and sound are synced together. Audio monitoring, I have all of these turned off because I don't want to create feedback loops. And then we close that. And so what that means is that means Studio One's audio comes through one channel, and my voice comes through on a separate channel. And the cool thing is there, if I go and show you this other section here, these are the filters that I have for the mic channel. I have an expander, which basically just gets rid of any background sounds, and I also have a limiter on here as well, which prevents me from clipping when I'm speaking to mic, and also keeps my my volume consistent. Consistent volume, whether I'm speaking quietly or whether I'm speaking loudly, you know, like a compressor does. So yeah, I hope that helps you, Martin. That's the walkthrough. As to whether you will be able to do it, that depends upon your interface, whatever that is. So if you have something like the Studio 24C or the Studio 68C or the 1824C or the 1810C, you will be able to run loopback. Okay? You just won't with another interface. Alright, let's go and see. So Ray Nikolaisen is from Norway. Awesome! I love Europeans watching my show. However, Martin, you're talking about Revelator. If you have Revelator, then you have a separate set of options in Universal Control. You have a special version of Universal Control, which is for the Revelator. And the Revelator has its own kind of setup. I don't have one of those, unfortunately, but I know Joe Gilder has made a few videos on Revelator, so go and check those out. And there's a whole set of instructions that you need to kind of do to set up loopback using the Revelator, if that's what you have. Let's see. Robot says, thank you, you're welcome. Else Media's in the house, everybody. It's a sponsor of Home Studio Trainer. Louis is awesome. So we got, what, 29 or 30 people here now? Let's go take a look and see exactly how many we got. We got 26. We hit 29 at one point, but we got 26. That's cool. Or 22 or something like that. You're talking about, Mika's talking about CC data for modulations and automating modulations, that kind of stuff, which is cool. Let's see, what other questions we have? Yeah, folks, can we not talk about vaccines, please? Or debate vaccines? This is not the place to debate vaccines, okay? So please refrain from doing it. If you've had your vaccine, great. If you've not had your vaccine yet, that's okay. Just make sure you get it. That's all I'm going to say. We're not here to debate that. Let's see. What other questions do we have? Recent Motion says he has a Presonus Revelator which supports loopback, but we can't get it working on his machine. He talked to support and they just told him to optimize his system. Well, yeah, that will certainly help. Johnny, Mika says, if you're using loopback, how does one keep the signal from feedback or looping? I don't know. It's just the way it works. It's just the way it works. I don't get any feedback. The only issue where you might get feedback is if you are recording something from Skype or from YouTube into Studio One, and if you hit the blue monitor button, you'll get feedback because it's an input feeding into an input, into an input, into an input, into an input, basically. So that would create a feedback problem, whereas using loopback for live streaming, you don't get that. And the way I'm able to do this show without headphones is because I have the volume of my speakers sufficiently low that the mic is not picking them up. But I can hear the speakers just fine. It's just I have the volume low enough that this mic is not going to pick them up. And I've got the angle of the mic set so that the front of the mic is actually slightly tilted towards me, just a bit. Probably tilt it just a little bit more. But yeah, the capsule of the microphone is facing me and away from the speakers a little bit. So the speakers are coming in this way, and the mic is ultimately rejecting the speakers a bit, which helps. And so, yeah, I don't get any issues. Mika says, when I used loopback using Zoom, the output from Zoom is looped back into the output and on and on. I have to admit, I've not had that experience using Zoom because I do the Studio One meetup once a month for the UK Studio One meetup, and we use Zoom for that. And if I need to demonstrate something in Studio One, I'm using the loopback from the 1824, just basically using it in the same way that I use it in OBS. It's exactly the same thing. The only thing that I have to do that's ever so slightly different is in OBS I can separate out the mic from the DAW. You can't do that in Zoom. You can only there is only one stereo channel in Zoom. So basically, what I have to do is I have to create an audio track in Studio One set to this mic, and I have to have the monitor button engaged on that mic track so that people can hear me when I'm using Studio One. So they will be able to hear Studio One and me because I have a track in that particular song with this mic on it. So that's the only way it works. I can't separate out Studio One from the mic like I can in OBS because there's only one stereo input in Zoom. So that works. Now, to my ears, coming through the speakers, I get a little bit of phasing with the mic because the mic is effectively going through twice. But here's the thing. The callers, the folks on the Zoom call, don't hear the second iteration of the mic. They only hear one. They only hear the loopback. They're not hearing my live audio plus the loopback. So they don't get that kind of phasing kind of thing happening on their end because I have Zoom set to the virtual input, just like I have OBS set to the virtual input. Have we dropped the stream? No, I thought we did for a second there. But yeah, Martin, if you have the Revelator, that will work with loopback. It absolutely will. You just need to set it up correctly. And as I said, Joe Gilder had a video on it, so go and check that out on the PreSonus YouTube channel. It's there. And he takes you step by step through how to set up loopback. Let's see. Robath with a question says, a question I can't answer to new people in my community. If joining PreSonus Sphere, will all the stuff within Studio One install automatically? No, you actually have to download it from your Sphere account. Just like if you weren't a member of PreSonus Sphere and you had purchased stuff from the shop, when that is deposited into your account following that purchase, you still then have to download it. It doesn't download and install automatically. However, with that said, there is an easier way to do it. And that is if you go to Studio One. So in Studio One, if you go to Studio One, and then you go Studio One installation, and then you click on this box here, My Purchased Items, it will retrieve the product list, so you give it a few seconds to do that. Still retrieving it, and now it's finished retrieving it. And now all of these items will appear, and all of these items that appear here are items that are in your in your sphere.presonus.com account, and you can go and check all of those boxes and click install, and it's as easy as that. See all of this? I mean, I'm still scrolling. There's loads of stuff there. But yeah, you can check all of those boxes and then click install, and it'll custom install to wherever you set it. I don't know why it's set to D: songs. It shouldn't be. It should be set to this one here. Users, public, documents, PreSonus Studio One. That should be the correct path. So that's definitely one way in which you can do it. It's probably the quickest and easiest way. The other way, as I said, is in your PresonaSphere account to download the installers to your downloads folder, and then basically you just drag and drop the items from your downloads folder directly onto the start page here, and they will install to the correct place. That's the other way to do it. So, but yeah, it doesn't, none of the stuff directly installs instantaneously, automatically into Studio One when you have a membership of PresonaSphere. Doesn't work like that. But yeah, that's what you need to do. So I hope that helps answer that question, Robarth. And Alps Media says everything that's included in Sphere is available to you to download and drag and drop on Studio One as you normally would. That is correct. Okay, I'm making sure I don't miss anything. Music to Motion says I have a Revelator and it works great. I can highly recommend them. Yeah, they are awesome devices. I just didn't get sent one. Boo hoo! I was quite upset they didn't send me one. But anyway, they send me enough gear, so I can't complain. DD Entertainment is here, which is cool. Love it when she's here. Robot says to Alps Media, okay, so not as a Virgin install, you mean? Yeah, when you first join PresonaSphere, when you activate Studio One with PresonaSphere, your PresonaSphere account and Studio One are linked symbiotically. They're just completely linked together, as if they are joined in some kind of holy audio matrimony. Okay? But that doesn't mean that everything automatically just gets pumped straight into Studio One and you don't have to do anything. Those items that you get with your membership are there in your account. They appear in your account as soon as your membership payment is processed and you have activated and everything else. All of those things appear in your account, and then it's just a case of go download, install, or you can do it via the Studio One installation menu, as I said, which is probably the easiest way to do it, personally, I think. What else do we have? You'll be able to have whichever version of Studio One you're currently using installed and ready to use. Yeah, with PresonaSphere, you get Studio One 5 Professional, and you'll get all the updates that come between 5.0 and all the other kind of updates that are in between. And then when Studio One 6 gets launched, whenever that's going to be, you'll get that deposited in your account on the day of release. That will just automatically happen. The same with Notion. Currently you have Notion 6. You get all of the updates in between Notion 6 and Notion 7. And then when Notion 7 is dropped into your account on its release date, whenever that's going to be, you'll have that as well, including any other new expansion packs that there may or may not be. I don't know. But yeah, so if you previously used Studio One Artist, you should now have Studio One 5 Professional. If you decide that at some point that maybe PresonaSphere just isn't really your thing and you're never going to use all of the stuff that we give you as part of your membership, and you decide to cancel, you will lose all of that stuff and you'll lose Studio One 5 Professional, but you will go back to Studio One 5 Artist pretty much automatically. Just all of the stuff that you gained with your membership will go. But you'll keep everything that you had before it. Music to Motion says, would you be willing to share a Zoom link for me if I PM you? Of course. Go ahead and do it. I'm going through looking for questions. Roy says, one question, what plugins do you typically keep on your Mixbus? Good question, and I can show that. Hang on one moment. Alright, so, I mean, this is not typical of what I have. So I'll maybe pull up a song of what is typical. Alright, so this is my song, Dig Myself a Hole. I think you guys have heard this plenty of times. Roy, you may not be familiar with it, so I'll play maybe about 10 seconds of it. When everything's against me, my back against the wall. Alright, so there you go. You heard a little bit of it. So, this is what I typically have. Or at least when I mixed this song, this is what I had. Because I didn't have the new retro mix effects plugins when I mixed this song. So I typically have the Fat channel. I can show you the Fat channel. Fat channel has the Brit comp. Just doing a bit of a gentle squeeze. 300 milliseconds, 100 milliseconds there. Tiny bit of makeup. 2:1 ratio. And then that's that there. In this case, on this song, I have the binaural pan, just doing a smidge of widening, only a smidge. And then a little bit of EQ. EQ just rolling off some of the super lows down at about 20. And then we've got a little bit of a scoop here, around about 390, and then a little bit of a shelf here, tiny little shelf, not even a 1 dB shelf, around about 11K. And that's pretty much all she wrote there. And then I also have limiter for if I want to excuse me, if I want to just basically send this out to somebody and say, hey, check out the song. And I want to make sure that the song is at the ballpark level for a commercial release, then yeah, I have the limiter engaged on this particular song. Ceiling and threshold, well, that should be set to around about my -1 as well. I don't know why it isn't, because it certainly was. Don't know what's going on there. There we go. Not that it matters too terribly much. And then I've just driven the gain just a little bit into the limiter. And then the phase meter, basically just to check the phase correlation and kind of see what's going on across the stereo spectrum. And typically I'm using this to check the chorus. Oh, do or die, gonna dig myself a hole. Because typically I like to have my choruses kind of big and wide and impactful, and my verses tend to be a little bit more kind of in the center a little bit. And that's it. But as I say, I also like to use some of these guys. Like, I like the Brit console a lot. I like the CTC1 a lot. Didn't use this on this song. If I were to just drop them in just now, it'd probably screw up the mix. So it's always best to start off your mix with these guys instantiated right from the very, very start, and then mix through them. Otherwise, yeah, you will mess up your mix. Let's see. What else do we have? Let's go back over here. Marcos asks about reamping like a plugin, something to distort vocals or instruments. If I want to distort vocals, I will use red light distortion. If I want to distort an instrument that is not a guitar, again, I would probably use red light distortion, or I might use pedal board. Done that a while back with a trumpet solo. I wanted a distorted trumpet solo with some wah-wah pedal on there, and so I used pedal board to do that, and pedal board works great. You just stick the wah-wah on there, then you just automate the wah-wah with the fader, and it works fantastically. So I've done that before. Didn't need to reamp anything. Alce Media says, fear is like getting someone else to make deposits in your account that benefit you. Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. All you're doing is paying a low monthly fee, and you get all of this. It's like Christmas every month of new stuff. In fact, we just launched something brand new this month. And I'm going to go and find that for you so you can see it. I have to remember where it is. I might not have downloaded it yet, actually. Did I download it? I don't think I did. Let me go to Studio One. Studio One installation. Back to this again. Trying to remember what it's called. Atlanta Swagger, I think it was. No. What was it called? That was the month before. There you go, Flamingo Fandango. That's the latest thing that we launched, which is another kind of bunch of loops and sounds for various different instruments and some impact kits and stuff like that, and different loops and stuff. I've not downloaded this guy yet, but this is the new one, and it'll take 6 minutes on my internet speed. And it's like 663.55 gigs. If I just hit install, it would install to wherever this is set to. But yeah, anything new gets deposited in your account, and you can either get it through this way, or you can get it directly from your Sphere account. Not a big deal. But yeah, I've not actually downloaded that yet. Robot says, you're a master, so are the peeps here as well. As Mr. Gibe, yes, Johnny Gibe. I've known him for many, many years. Hope you get my small contribute to keep you going. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You might not if you've used Super Chat. Super Chat does not work on my channel because I turned it off. However, I think in the description box below there is a link to my PayPal account, and you can hit that with whatever you feel is appropriate. Always happy for you guys to go and do that. Marcus says, I love kindness and humility. Yes, I do too. Absolutely. Let's see. Anything else? Mika says, my 2 cents. M Saturate free from Melda Productions is a most excellent VST for customizing dynamic saturation. I don't think I've ever tried that one, so I think maybe I will. If it's free, I will certainly go and check it out and see what it's like. But yeah, there are a number of different saturation things that are either free or really, really reasonably priced. For example, the Klanghelm SDRR2 tube, which you get as part of the Studio Magic bundle. If you have PreSonus hardware that you purchased, you should have that in your account. Or at least you should have a link to go and kind of get set up with a Klanghelm account to be able to then go and download that particular product for free. It's not free. I think it's like 25 euros or something like that over at Klanghelm. But because Klanghelm is a PreSonus partner, if you have PreSonus hardware as part of the Studio Magic bundle, you get that 25 euro thing for free. And it is very, very cool. I can show you what it looks like if you're interested in GUIs. But yeah, this is what it looks like. You got a drive knob, some outputs, you got some character, you got 3 different stages of drive, crosstalk, automatic gain compensation, you got some harmonic balance, you got some frequency response, and then you can choose the dynamic speedy, the fast or slow. Let's see, does it have some presets? Yes, it does have some presets. So you got some presets for drums, bass, guitars, keys, vocals, master bus, tube enhancer, 1-out tape, tube compressor style. So there's a few kind of different things you can do with this guy. Well worth using. But I don't want to use it on just that BV. There we go. So there you go. That's a pretty good option. Let's see. I think we're out of questions. Looks like we are out of questions. Yep, I think we're done. I think we are done for questions, so therefore we are done for another week of Sunday Night Live. So folks, thank you so much for coming, especially those of you like Roy who are new to the channel. Roy, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. I appreciate your kindness and your generosity. I appreciate everybody's kindness and generosity who are here in the chat. You guys have asked some absolute belters of questions tonight. I am very, very appreciative of all round about 28 or so of you that were here for tonight's show. You guys are awesome. Love you loads. And I will see you over on Johnny's channel on Wednesday for Songwriting Simplified. And then we'll be back here again for another Sunday Night Live. So until then, folks, I bid you a very good night. Good night. Everything's against me, my back against the wall, holding all the worst cards I feel 2 feet tall. I'll stand and shout, no holding back. Do or die, gonna dig myself a hole. Oh, do or die, gonna dig myself a hole. Now I'm hanging tough, and I'm never falling back. When defense fails, I'm going on the attack. I stand and shout, no holding